Nice. Happy Veterans Day. Thank you.
EAA has grown considerably, and now there are over 1,000 chapters of EAA scattered around the world.
You're not doing something to make money. Is this Nick one?
Of the
Thank you very much to the UCR Pipe Band. Always a wonderful thing to have them with us on Veterans Day. Everything that walks or flies around this airport. He's flown several of the Tom Wathen racers. And in the Air Force, Pat spent a long time with the U-2 and the SR-71 Blackbird programs. So I'd like to introduce to you Major General Patrick Halloran.
Hello, Travis. Good to see you. Veterans Day. For some, it's a day of sad memories. For others, it's a day of great pride. It all began a long time ago and has gone through many transitions to reach the celebration and the holiday we celebrate today. Back in 1918, the tragedy of the First World War was coming to an end. And the average of 2,000 troops on all sides were dying on the Western Front every day. The Germans finally yielded and signed the armistice at 5:10 on the morning of 11th of November with an agreement to stop hostilities at 11 in the morning. Not much time to get the word out. But as the word of that agreement was passed to forces of all combatants, it was with a great sense of relief and jubilation on the arrival of dawn on the 11th. There was a growing silence from both sides of the battlefield trenches as the 11th hour drew close. However, there was confusion among the various commanders as there had been no specific guidance that combat should definitely continue right up to the 11th hour, to 11 o'clock. So many interpretations were made as to the logical time of ending combat operations in a war that victory had already been decided by all sides. A number of senior commanders made the determination to slowly reduce and even terminate operations in the final hours in an attempt to save lives. Other commanders, in search of one more last chance for glory, continued with artillery and troop advances into no man's land. One unfortunate victim of this period of indecision was Private Henry Gunther. He was a young man from Baltimore who was operating under the command of Brigadier General Nicholson, the commander of the 157th Brigade. He was among those ordered to continue to attack German forces from their position right up to the 11th hour. Some of the enemy forces, which had already stopped firing, were standing in the open. Seeing a final single surge of an American soldier advancing and firing his weapon, they shouted for him to stop and waved him back. But he continued to advance and fire his weapon. The enemy fired in defense, and Private Gunther was struck by a machine gun bullet and died instantly. The time was 10:59. The armistice began 1 minute later. General Pershing, a senior American officer in World War I, listed in his order of the day as showing Private Henry Gunther as the last American killed in World War I. In this tragic ending of an even more tragic war that dictated the identification of a day of recognition which began as Armistice Day, was proclaimed by President Wilson in 1919. In 1938, it was declared a federal holiday, and after the Korean War, it was changed to a Veterans Day by President Eisenhower. Today we have 16 million veterans, 6 million of whom are women. They comprise 6% of our nation's population. And by the way, 26 former presidents are military veterans, starting, of course, with George Washington. In World War II, 16 million people served in the armed forces, of which 180,000 remain as veterans today. In Korea, the forgotten war, 5.7 million served, with 800,000 veterans remaining. In Vietnam, 6.4 million served, with 4 million veterans remaining today. The two Gulf Wars have currently given us 8 million veterans, and still growing, of course, because they are now 25% of our current veterans. I saw an interesting item also that said 26% of all veterans are over 75 years of age. Well, I'm 95, so I think there's another statistic that I'm not aware of. But veterans are a proud segment of our society, as well they should be. They have carried the burden of sacrifice that military life demands, and other members of our society have no idea what that burden entails, such as long, frequent separation from loved ones, the demands of constant moving, changing schools, dependence, and disrupting career opportunities for working spouses. And most of all, there is always a fear of injuries and loss of life for those who have entered the combat arena. Yes, veterans have paid their dues to be proud Americans, and in so doing have earned the respect of every citizen. I will deviate from my notes to talk for a moment about another veteran, personal friend, my brother. In my family, I'm one of 3 boys and 1 girl. All of us were life members of the military, including my sister, who was married to an Army officer. So I consider her a veteran as well, as all wives of military personnel are. They are veterans, just like their husbands. And my oldest brother was a 19-year-old combat photographer in World War II. He landed on Omaha Beach on D-Day in the first wave of the 1st Cavalry Division. On that day, the losses were horrendous. The 1st Cavalry Division lost 'Losses were high, but my brother was able to survive the D-Day landing, and he continued throughout the entire war in Europe, earning a Silver Star, 1 star, and 2 Purple Hearts. When the war ended, like other veterans, he left the service, married his high school sweetheart, and got a job in the civilian world. He joined the National Guard because he liked the military service. He had a lot of respect for the veterans he served with and the mission of the military. But by joining the National Guard, it was called up during the Korean War. So now he went to Korea for a combat tour. Third tour. He was in all 3 wars. And I was fortunate enough to be in Korea flying combat and fighters at the same time that he was stationed there. When he was in Vietnam, I was also there flying the U-2. So I was able to visit with him again. And the strangest coincidence about all of that is that when it came time for me to come home as an individual, when I was was at Constitute Air Base, waiting my turn to sign in for a trip home on a chartered airline. As I checked in, the young lady at the counter said, "That's interesting. We have another Halloran on the same flight." It turned out to be my brother. Neither one of us knew we were returning from Vietnam, and we came home on the same flight. Veterans are a proud group of people, as well they should be. They've earned the respect of all the citizens of America. And I'm proud not only to have served, but to have had the occasion to be a veteran with all many of my good friends in my time frame and the veterans here at Flabob Airport. So it's with great pride that I celebrate Veterans Day. It was an honor to have served, and it was an honor to have been with the veterans who are now with us today. You might not have thought it was an honor when you're going through basic training. When that was behind you and the years close and you look back at your history, at the wonderful people you met, the great service opportunities you had, and in hindsight, I think every veteran respects the service that he provided and the honor that was his to serve. So God bless all of you veterans, and God bless America.
If the pipers are ready, you have a selection for us? Veterans of all branches of the military, we thank you for your service and celebrate your being here with us today. At this time, the ROTC will retire the colors, and we will also have taps played by the UCR pipers. And while that is in progress, and after the color guard has retired the colors, I invite all of the veterans with us today to join us in front of the bleachers for a short procession down the runway, another Flabob tradition. So you get a chance, work your way out to the flight line, and we will all work our way down the flight line and back. Please stand as you're able. That at 12 noon we are going to have a reenactment of the flag raising